Hello guys, my name is Angel. Welcome to another episode of Dev++. Today we're going to be talking about building a JSON REST API with NodeJS, Express, and using Typescript. We're going to continue our previous project, and this time we're going to be connecting to a database, MongoDB, and doing some data validation. So let's jump right into it. So the steps for today are going to be, we're going to be continuing with our previous project. Connect to MongoDB, use the MongoDB driver for Node.js. We're gonna change our app, upgrade our web services to do all the operations using task on MongoDB, and we're gonna add some data using the library class-validator. Committing our code, pushing to Github, and some closing remarks. What we're not gonna be covering today is user authentication and async and periodic tasks. We're gonna leave that for another video. Just let's hit it. So first of all, I'm gonna start by logging into my MongoDB Atlas. Let me see. Sign in. I already have an account. I believe so. Yep, I have an account. I'm going to be opening my terminal and my web storm for coding in JavaScript. Sure, save this. Create a new database, free tier, free AWS, yada yada yada, cluster name, cluster 0. Go ahead, create a cluster. I'm gonna create a new username. I'm gonna call this demo1. Give it demo 11223344. Create user. Okay, we got our user. Local environment. How we like to name my local environment. Add my IP. Finish and close. Go to the database. So we get the connection string here. All right, we got it set it up here. Okay, I'm gonna go to my workspace. I believe that we created already our folder called NodeJS Express TypeScript API. Yeah, we have it here. Perfect. We haven't pushed anything to Github. I'll remember to do that in just a bit. Let's close this. And open our project, right? If you remember, just like a quick refresh of what we were building there. These are all the endpoints. Everything is done in one single file. We can rearrange that later, but we need to show here like everything that we were doing. The Express app, some configuration, a basic hello world route, a type and interface called task, a local list of tasks. And the web services they're going to serve, the task endpoint for, I believe this is retrieving all the tasks, retrieving a specific task by ID, creating tasks, and then updating or deleting tasks. Right now we're going to do that with Mongo, right? So first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to install the package called MongoDB, and the one that we're going to use later for validation is called class-validator. Oops, I'm going to convert this. Install this. In the meantime, I'm just going to copy and paste this, which is the easiest way here to do it. I think my Node version, my MongoDB version, my driver version is 4. Let's check it out. 4.13. Yes. And I'm just gonna copy and paste this. Okay. So let's see. We're gonna create here a database connection where we have our task. Just gonna copy and paste this. Just going to change this for import statement just to make it a little bit more TypeScripty. MongoDB, and I'm going to import server API version and Mongo client. Mongo client, server API version. Great. So we already have the string here. If I remember correctly, it was demo112233, right? The URI. We're gonna create this, use new URL parser. Does not exist in MongoDB again. We don't have this. Use unified topology. We don't have this, so we create our new Mongo client, right? Okay, so we do the connection. It says here, connect deprecated symbol. Oh, let's see. It says that it's deprecated. Okay, so we're not gonna use the legacy version. It's a better way of connecting this. So I'm gonna change this, and then we have the client. So we have our I'm gonna call it tasks database. It's gonna be client.db name tasks database. I'm gonna call this camel case, and then we have our task collection, which is gonna be, I'm gonna call it just like this, right? We're gonna remove this code, the connection. We're gonna remove this task. We're not gonna use them anymore. And before this, let's do some operations over this just to see if we actually can do something here. Let me get a fine one, right? And we're just gonna console log this. Just to see if we can connect or we are connected, right? All right, next thing, we create a start script, right? Yeah, a watcher there for checking on changes. For the time being, I'm just gonna put this blank. I think that doesn't throw any errors or run the wrong script. Second. Okay, in the meantime, that finishes. We don't need that. I'm just gonna hit an npm start. I don't think that it should throw any errors, so yeah. We should have a bunch of errors because I removed that tasks from there. Just gonna put it back. In the meantime, gonna call, authentication fail. I think it was demo 111, 222, 323, maybe 4 or 455. Just gonna create a different user. Let's close his here. I'm gonna go to database access. I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna create a new database user. Yeah, password. I'm gonna call this demo 11223344, right? Do we need to add something here? So read it and write to any database. Perfect. Oh, I know what the error was. Now should be connecting. Yeah, we get a null from that. So we know that we are connected. All right. So now that we have the connection going, now we're gonna start like switching our endpoints to interact with MongoDB, right? First of all, we're gonna do async calls here, right? Because the API, remember that we need to do async await. You should check out that video that I created for async await. Oh, so pretty much autocomplete. Again, this GitHub Copilot is amazing. You should try that. Let's see if I can jump into that task collection. I'm gonna open my HTTP client. I use Insomnia. Let me go here to my projects, NodeJS, my collection. Okay, get request, task, send, empty, but it's working, right? At least we know that it's working, right? Okay, so let's start hitting the next endpoint, the task by ID, right? Now we're sending an ID. We don't need this number. I think that we're gonna do the post first because it requires some explanation later for doing the get, right? So doing the post, right? We send the parameters, name, description to our web service, right? First, we created a task object. We put all these values. One thing that we're gonna change, we're gonna remove this ID, right? We're gonna allow MongoDB to generate its own ID, right? With the purpose of seeing that feature that he has. He creates something called object ID. This kind of like looks like a string, but it's a binary ID, which is very, very efficient for you know how MongoDB works and its speed, right? I'm gonna put here that this is not mandatory, right? It's an optional field. That's why this stops complaining. And then, right, what I'm gonna do now, first of all, this is gonna be an async. This is gonna be an await. Task collection, insert one, right? So two things will happen here. First of all, I'm gonna create a variable here. Document insert one result. We're gonna check out what we're getting from as a response, right? And also we're gonna check the object task that we just created. So that's updating the the post. So let's go to Insomnia. We're gonna push this forward here, right there, the post. We're gonna create one and we're gonna start testing this. Okay, we tested, we get the two information here. We get the result of the operation, right? It gives you some metadata about what happened. Give us the inserted ID, which is again is an object ID that we have here, right? And then it modifies the object that we sent, right? It don't only put the data that we put in, it automatically added this dash low dash ID, which represents again that object ID. This automatically is converted to a string. So that way, that's why we see this here. So we don't need this, right? We don't need this variable. So pay special attention to the fact that MongoDB created its own ID automatically just because we didn't send one, right? That's also very, very convenient. So coming to the next endpoint, searching this by ID, right? So the first thing that we're gonna do, we cannot transform this into a number because that's not gonna work. We actually have to transform this to an object ID, right? It used to be exported from MongoDB. Okay, so I guess I have to import it from JSON, right? Well, let me figure this out, right? If I import it from here, it tells me it is deprecated, right? And I should be using object ID. Okay, so from MongoDB, I'm gonna be importing this object ID. Oh, it's already here. To transform this parameter into what I need, right? Yeah. So it's a class. We can collect this. Okay. So based on this ID, again, we're gonna make this async, right? Now we're gonna do the task collection find one, right? And for that find one, we're gonna send the filter, which is the query. We're gonna say ID should be equal to ID, right? So, so easy. If this task is null, I'm just gonna check for null because that's what happened when we can find this. Null for 400, task not found. Otherwise, I'm just gonna return the task. Right? That's for getting by ID. So I'm gonna get the request. I'm gonna see the task that I just created. Just gonna create a couple more just to get this really nice and populated, right? And then we're gonna get from the single request. First, I'm gonna make up a number here, which is not gonna be valid, right? We're getting a long way there. I think I messed up something. No, I think it didn't. Let's see. Oh, we got an error. So it requires a specific validation for this object ID. So what we're gonna do is, so let's do this. Let ID of type object ID or null, right, equals null. Then we're gonna do a try here just to make sure that we can do this, right? Otherwise, we're gonna catch an error here, which is the error that now is being thrown there, and we're gonna return a 400, and we're gonna say invalid ID. That's what we're gonna start doing now. Okay, just format this. It's processing now. Try it again. Invalid ID, right? So we're gonna get one of the ones that does exist, just to see if we get the same problem here. We send this, it's a valid ID, boom, we got it. Is if I just change one number here, it's gonna tell me task not found, which is exactly what we want, right? So we're done with the get. Let's go with the update. I'm just gonna copy and paste this object ID stuff, right? Just gonna put it really nice and thin here. Okay, then we're gonna pull name, description, completed add from the body. Okay, so I'm gonna remove all this by an object. So again, I'm gonna put my async, and I'm gonna put my weight here of the task collection update one. First of all is the filter. The ID should be equal to the ID, right? And then we're gonna get the set about name, description, and completed add. That should be more than enough. I guess it could. Let's see what it returns this. Better now, like this. Update result. We're gonna do a console log for the update result. We're gonna return this. I'm gonna call this. Just gonna put the same value that I just sent. All right. We don't have any problems here. It's like 29. Everything's working fine. And we're gonna create a put, right? So I'm gonna take one of the IDs. I'm gonna put it here in the URL, right? And I'm gonna change this and say put name, right? If I send this, I'm getting the new values. Let me see what return hit or knowledge absorbed ID. Just some metadata information about the operation. It's good, but we don't need that. I'm gonna just delete it. So let's move forward to the delete, right? Same thing with the object ID. Validating there's an object ID which works, right? And then what I'm gonna do is wait, all right, before the await, the async, just to allow me to do the await, task collection dot delete one. The ID is gonna be this filter and should be pretty ready to go, right? I'm gonna delete this same one. So if I delete this, it should come into true. Oh, that's very boring. Just gonna put result true, right? I get the get request. Server was down. Got a couple ones, a couple additional ones, right? And then if I choose one of this, I can go ahead and delete it. Nice. Let's. I think that I could implement also delete for the whole table, the whole collection. Sorry. So if I do this, right? I don't have any IDs. So what I will do is clean up the table. So I can do delete many, right? Put that there. I'm gonna just duplicate this. Delete all, I'm gonna call it. Remove the ID and then just send this baby. Result true. And now when we get all the list, we get it empty, right? That's nice. That's good. That's good. That's good. First part of the video, right? Next part, we're gonna do a small validation here in the in creating in the post request, right? When we create this object, we're gonna validate that we at least have the name in the description, right? For that, we're gonna use a really cool library called class-validator. Specifically for super useful for using with Typescript. So before we jump into that, I just want to tell you a little bit of a message, right? If you are enjoying these videos, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That will help me a lot. Share this information with anyone that you think that it could be beneficial or could be interesting to see it. And make sure to leave any comments about upcoming videos, about things that you want to see, so I can make sure to prepare for that. Cool. Okay, so for doing this, I'm just gonna copy and paste a snippet here from the docs, the class validator. Remember, we're doing everything in single file. That's not very good looking, but you know, I like you guys to see the whole picture. I'm going to import this from class validator. Remember that we already installed the library at the beginning. So first thing that I'm going to do, the validator, you know, it attaches decorators to fields or classes in TypeScript, right? So in order for you to do that, we have to change the type of task to a class, right? That's the first thing that we're going to do. As it is a class, we are forced to use a constructor, right, which has all the initialization for all the variables, right? It's number one. The second thing we could start to do in our own, right? I'm missing the ID here, which is an optional string, right? Could be undefined. Yeah, we need to put it at the end. Let's do this. So the ID is undefined. I think that will work. Okay. So let's start with this, right? Let's say that name has to be a string. And for this, I have to import that is a string validator, right? We're gonna call this is a string, right? We're gonna say the the length should be between let's put 3, let's put 5 and 50, right? Let's give me an error here. It says like, okay, so it says that we're not supporting decorators yet. So we have to go to our configuration and enable decorators. This should fix this. So we said that it's a string length, and we're gonna do the same thing with description. In this case, we're gonna change this, and we can use a different type of decorator. One's called min. The chip's the same, just to show you how flexible this is and how things work, right? It has a lot of things like contain, isn't, right? We need that validate function just to show you in a minute what we were gonna do. So now that we have all the properties of what we want to validate on an object, let's replace in the post. So instead of just doing this and creating a simple task by association, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna create a new task object, right? A new task, which will hold the name, description, completed at, and created at, right? I'm just gonna put this as a null because we don't have it. We are not pulling that for, and I'm just gonna leave the date for this. And that should look a little bit better, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna validate here if everything went as expected, right? For now, we're just gonna console log the errors just to see what's happening, and then we're gonna do some errors on purpose just to get this going. So if we send this, I still can create a task. We don't have any errors, right? Oh no, we do have errors. So it's just printing the class, the validation error task, the object that I'm applying to, value, any children's, and constraints. There is a property called errors, but let's just check it out. Let's just force an error here. Let's say that the name, I'm gonna put a name shorter than the 5 that I just indicated there. So remember, it's just gonna be created, but I'm gonna see now a couple of errors here, right? So he says, okay, he says, I have a list of errors here that I want to see, right? So we know there is a list of errors. So what we're gonna do is precisely if errors is greater than 0, then we just return 400 and we show all the errors. Just go ahead and do that. We save it, we don't have any errors. Now, whenever we're gonna send this, now it says, hey, this value and this property name is breaking this. It should be longer or equal than 5, right? So let's call this my task to put this long enough. We're gonna get the first error out, and then the second one, it has to also be 5. Test of a description. So we send this. Must not be less than 5. Okay, so we have a problem here with the length, right? It's probably 4 integer values, right? We're going to change this to 10 to 500 because it's a description. Remove min and max, which are applied to numbers. Send this. Now should create a task without any problems. Now we check all our tasks, fold it in, couple ones, and we get it, and we got our task going on. Perfect, guys. So this is the end of the video. I'm just gonna push this to GitHub. I think that we haven't, but I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna create our git ignore file. Git ignore file, right? Just to include this too. that we shouldn't, this three actually, that we shouldn't be pushing those. Oh shit, I deleted this. I'm also gonna delete the connection stream because shouldn't put that there. Either way, I'm gonna delete the database right now. And perfect. We have this, we create a commit. I'm gonna say here, connecting to MongoDB and testing class validator. Oh, whoops. We already put this on GitHub. No, we haven't, right? So I'm just gonna create real quick a repository here. That ++ repositories. I'm gonna create a new one. I'm just gonna call it this. It's gonna be public, right? Create a repo. We already did a commit, so it's just gonna be adding this origin here. Push origin main. Nice. So now we have the code here. So I'll make sure to put that in the video, right? All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Appreciate your time. Remember, make sure to like the video if you enjoy it. Share it with anyone else. Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be doing videos like this every week. And make sure to leave your comments regarding what you want to see next. Thank you.